Hey guys, what's up? If you're new here, so am I. I'm Ashley. These shelves back here are my archives, and this is my first video. I made a bookstagram and a book talk back in October, and I've had so much fun doing those. I've met some really great people and discussed some really awesome books with them, and I wanted to take it a step further and start a YouTube channel. Because the people in my actual real life, they do not care about any of this. They don't want to hear about any of the books I've read. They have no recommendations for me whatsoever, so here I am in the world of the internet now, because people in my real life kind of suck. Alright, so a little quick about me. Obviously, I love to read. I'm obsessed with reading. I've been a big reader since I was a little kid. I was that antisocial loser in high school that chose to stay at home on weekends and pretty much hold myself up in my room and read the entire time. But on top of reading, I am also a very big Marvel fan. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I'm also very obsessed with Disney, Disneyland in particular. Like, just facts about that place. My house is decorated Disneyland. Like, yeah, you get the picture. So reading, Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, that's kind of my mojo. Alright, so moving along to books. I know by now mostly everyone has done their 2021 reading wrap-up video. I'm not going to do that because obviously I'm new here and you probably don't care about what 75 books I read last year, and I don't really want to take the time to explain them. So I'm going to just go over the books that were my absolute favorite from 2021. And this is in no particular order. It's not like a top 10 countdown or anything. I probably will mention in the stack which my absolute favorite was, maybe my top 3, but overall these are just the books that I had the best time reading. Okay, so starting us off was actually one of the first books I read this year, and that was Beach Read by Emily Henry. I am probably in the minority that absolutely loved this book and hated People We Meet on Vacation. I found People We Meet on Vacation boring. I thought if you took out all of the flashback chapters, it didn't change the story. Whereas this story, I loved it. I loved the main character. I didn't care for the main character in People We Meet on Vacation. I also found that the guy in People We Meet on Vacation was kind of boring. Whereas Gus in Beach Read, he was amazing. Now, I also pictured him as Sebastian Stan, so maybe that's why I love this book more, but overall, I thought Beach Read was superior. Now, this next book, I don't think it gets talked about enough, or if it does, anytime I see it talked about, people drag it or they smack talk it. I went on Goodreads and it had a rating of below 4 stars, which really surprised me because I laughed out loud the entire time I was reading this book. I think I probably annoyed my husband with how much I enjoyed it, but that was You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. I really hope I said that right. This is a second chance romance. Basically, the couple is already together, they're engaged, they're a few months away from the wedding, and neither of them are into it anymore. And they're kind of basically playing a game of chicken to see who can annoy each other first to call the wedding off. And like I said, this book was hilarious. And I don't know if I appreciated it because I'm already married and I can see how easy it is to get into a rut while still finding each other. But like all of Naomi's inner dialogue towards Nicholas and her frustrations with him, I mean, that is the same frustrations I have with my husband. And that's just why I really appreciated this one. This one felt like a real romance, real relatable romance to me. Okay, for my next favorite books, I think this is in my top 3, and that is Archer's Voice. If you want a good tearjerker book that's going to make you cry, but also has a happy ending, this is going to be the book for you. Now, this one is a dual POV. It follows Archer and Bree. Archer is mute, so he physically cannot speak, and Bree is able to communicate with him with sign language. And what I loved about this story was that it just really showed that there are more ways of communicating with people than just physically talking. And like I said, it was just a beautiful story, totally worth it. Try to pick it up if you can. Alright, up next is going to be Marriage for One by Elle. I read this in the fall, and this book takes place in the fall. It's revolved around a coffee shop in New York, so it really has those perfect fall vibes. If you have read Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata, this is going to be the same similar vibes to that. It's grumpy sunshine, marriage of convenience. However, this is a dual POV, so you're going to get a little bit more with this one. And the guy, Jack, is incredible. And what I also loved about this book was guy falls first, and I am a sucker for that trope. Alright, then we also have one of the first books I read this year, and that was The Deal by Elle Kennedy. I actually read the entire Off-Campus series the week that I read this. This one was my favorite. I also love the third one. Now, I don't hate on the second and the fourth one like a lot of people do. I liked them. I like the fourth. I actually have 2 kids, so, you know, I don't hate when kids are added to the mix. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But overall, The Deal was my favorite. Garrett Graham, perfect book boyfriend, kind of sets the bar. And this was my first sports romance book that I ever read. And I have to say, sports romances are probably my favorite, like, subgenre trope of romances. Alright, and then I also really enjoyed The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue last year. Now, I know this one is not everyone's cup of tea. This one has very, very 50-50 mixed reviews. It's either the greatest book you've ever read, which that is for me, or it's the worst book you've ever read, which is a lot of other people. Now, I read this at a time in my life when things were a little hard. My grandmother was on her deathbed the week that I read this, so I think that it really had me fully appreciate mortality more. And then that aside, this book has a bit of a love triangle with Henry, the guy that the love is like advertised for, and then the devil, the darkness, who like turns Addie into who she is. And I actually really loved that little romance with the darkness or the devil. I don't know if a lot of people did. I'm in the minority, but I thought that's what made the book really interesting. So if that intrigues you, give this one a shot. I loved it. Also, I audiobooked half this because I had a lot going on, and the audiobook was really good. So maybe if you're wanting to pick this one up, try the audiobook because I thought the narrator did a really, really great job. Okay, and then I did listen to another audiobook that is top tier. I think it's a top tier audiobook for everyone. When I say read this book, please listen to it, even if you want to follow along and annotate, because that's what I did. But the audiobook is going to give you a full experience because it's Daisy Jones and the Six, and the way that this is written is it's in like script format, like a documentary. So it's basically just everyone's dialogue. And so with the audiobook, it's an entire cast of narrators, and it's just done incredibly. This takes place in the 70s, and it follows the rise and fall of the band Daisy Jones and the Six. Now, because of this being in the 70s and a band, there are, you know, drug and alcohol. So please look up trigger warnings. There is a trigger warning to abortion in this one as well. But overall, I love this. This is very pro-women, feminism. There's some great quotes from a character named Karen in here about women, and I highlighted a lot, and it's just amazing. So please try to listen to this one if you can. Alright, and then I think the next one a lot of people put in their top for 2021, and that was The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. I loved this one. This was an easy read. It was a quick read, and it was a fun read. I read it in one night. Adam Carlson was God tier book boyfriend. This is Guy Falls First, which is obviously chef's kiss for me. This was Reylo fanfic, and obviously I love Star Wars, so I had no problem with that. However, I didn't picture the characters as the 2 actors from Star Wars. I had other people in mind, but this was really, really great. This is an easy reread, and I definitely can see myself rereading this multiple times from now on. Okay, and this next one is going to be grouped as a series because I can't just pick my favorite book from them because the whole series, it's a wild good time. You're in for a ride, and I highly suggest you try it. And that is The Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. I'm sorry if this is not aesthetically pleasing. The first 2 copies I got was when it was the old covers, and then the publisher changed them to the new. So I have half and half. That kind of sucks, but oh well, these books are amazing. I can't even describe them. They are a companion novel series, so each book follows a different guy. They are the 4 horsemen. The chapters alternate between the past in high school and the present after they get out of jail from incidents that happened in high school. It's a whole thing. It's hard to explain. They are bully revenge romances. Corrupt is the first book that sets everything up. It sets everything up flawlessly. In fact, you can actually just read this book one if you want and then not continue the series. I know a lot of people did that, but I had to continue the series. Damon and Will were my 2 favorite guys. If you have only read the first book, you're probably thinking, why are you picking Damon as your favorite? He is evil, he is the devil, he is a horrible, horrible human being, but you gotta keep reading and you will see why Damon is like just awesome. Okay, so for my final 2, they're kind of tied for top, but I guess one kind of inches over the other. And so for number 2, that is Punk 57, also by Penelope Douglas. I think after this year, I have found that Penelope is my favorite author. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like there is crack laced in these books. This is also set in the same world as the Devil's Night series, so some characters from there are going to pop up in here, and some characters that are in here are also going to pop up in the Devil's Night series. So it's really fun. This is also a dark bully romance. This was a quick read. This was actually the second book I read this year. It was the first modern romance that I ever read, because I used to only read historical romances. And I think this is kind of what like set off my reading journey, and I love this. Like I said, it was a really quick read. It's an easy read and definitely rereadable. Alright, and taking us to the number 1 book. I'm sure it was a lot of people's number 1 books, as it should be, because it deserves it. It deserves the hype, and that is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. And Mariana Zapata is probably my second favorite author coming out of 2021. The way she writes slow burn, it's amazing, because slow burn is good if it is done correctly. And the way this was done, look how big this book is. And this was done great. I mean, and when I say slow burn, I'm saying that the couple probably did not even kiss each other until the very end of the book. And that's okay, because that is how good this book was. And when I say slow burn, you can see the buildup. I had a lot of fun tabbing this one in particular, because it was really fun to try and search and look for Aiden showing signs of liking Vanessa, and you could see them. They were very subtle in his body actions and all of that, but overall, I loved this book. I highly suggest it to anyone who has never read a Mariana Zapata. I know a lot of people see the bulk of this and they freak out. Honestly, the font size in this book is a little bit larger, so take with that as you will, but overall, this was my number 1 book this year. Now, I also read this on a Sunday, sitting next to my husband with football on in the background, so I had the ambience going. It was fall, it was football season. Obviously, this is about a football player. He's in the NFL and his assistant. And I just had everything going right for me when I read this. So I don't know if that's also why this is number 1, but this is forever my comfort book now. And yeah, I could rave about this for hours and hours, and I won't. But yes, if you haven't read this, please go try. It is sports romance. It is slow burn. It is marriage of convenience. It is grumpy sunshine. It is all of that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff. Alright, and those are going to cover my favorite books of 2021. I can't wait to keep reading this year in 2022 to see what I end up liking in the end. Alright, if you stuck around for this long, thank you. I highly appreciate it. I linked all my other channels down below. You can follow my Bookstagram. I post all my reviews there. I have a book talk that I post a lot of reviews there too, so you can click on any one of those if you want. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye!